I want you to be honest with yourself for the next 9 minutes. Not the version of honest you perform for other people. Actually honest with yourself. Right now, do you feel free? Not financially free, not I can pay my bills free. I mean genuinely deeply free. Free in the way that when you wake up in the morning, the day ahead feels like yours. Like the choices you make today actually belong to you. Like the life you are living is one you chose from the inside, rather than one the world handed you and you slowly learn to call your own. If something shifted when I asked that, if there was a quiet, uncomfortable honesty somewhere underneath the answer you gave. Not sadness, not depression, not even unhappiness exactly, just a feeling that something is missing, that the day was fine, but fine in a way that felt slightly hollow, that you were present for all of it but not quite inside any of it. That the life you just lived today was yours, but only just, only barely. You know that feeling, I know you do, because it is one of the most common human experiences of our time, and almost nobody talks about it honestly. So let's talk about it honestly, right now, together, because here is what is actually happening in that moment. And I want you to hear this carefully because capitalism and philosophy are going to give you two completely different explanations for it, and both of them are happening to you at the same time. Capitalism looks at that Sunday evening feeling and says, you just haven't found the right thing yet, the right purchase, the right experience, the right version of the weekend. The discomfort you feel right now is useful. It is productive. It means you will open the app tomorrow and look for the next thing. It means the loop continues. Capitalism does not want you to sit with that feeling and understand it. It wants you to fill it, immediately, with something it can sell you. And Albert Camus and Karl Marx look at that exact same feeling and say something completely different. They say, that discomfort is the most honest thing about you. That quiet hollowness is not a problem to be solved. It is a signal to be understood, and understanding it. Really understanding it without flinching, without immediately reaching for something to put on top of it. It is the most important thing you could do right now. So let's understand it. Together, Marx watched something happen to ordinary people living ordinary lives, and it troubled him more than anything else he ever observed. He watched people spend their best hours, their sharpest hours, the hours when they were most alive and most capable inside a system that took everything real and returned just enough to keep them going. Not enough to feel full, just enough to come back tomorrow. And Camus was watching the same people in their quiet moments, and he noticed that in those moments, when the noise stopped just long enough for something honest to surface, almost everyone immediately reached for something to fill the silence back up. Now think about your week, your actual week, not the ideal version, the real one. You spent your best hours doing something designed by someone else, for someone else's benefit, toward goals that existed before you arrived and will exist after you leave. Your creativity, the part of you that is most specifically, most irreplaceably you, went into a system that does not care about that creativity. That only cares that the work gets done. That returns money and keeps everything else. Marx called this alienation. The slow, quiet, systematic disconnection of a person from their own life, from the work they do, from the people around them, from the potential they were born with, and most devastatingly from themselves. From the version of themselves they might have become if the system had any interest in that becoming. And then you come home, tired, and you have a few hours, and capitalism, which has been watching you all day, which knows exactly how tired you are and exactly what that tiredness makes you reach for, is right there. With the scroll, with the sale, with the influencer showing you the version of life you could be living if you just had the right things. Filling every second of potential silence before the silence can ask you anything you might not want to answer. And Camus says, do you see what just happened? You had a moment, a real one. A moment where the question could have surfaced, where something honest could have come through, and instead, before it could finish forming, you filled it. Because if you let it stay, is genuinely uncomfortable. It does not have an easy answer, and the filling is immediate. And immediate always wins against honest when you are tired. This is the loop. Marx shows you what the day takes from you. Camus shows you what you do in the evening to cope with what was taken. And capitalism sits in the middle, taking from you all day and selling you the coping mechanism all evening. And the gap between what is taken and what is returned never closes. It just gets noisier. That is the gap. That is you. Underneath all the noise, underneath the coping, underneath the filling. Correctly identifying that what you have been given in exchange for what you gave today is not a fair trade. Your potential for a paycheck. Your deepest hours for just enough comfort to show up tomorrow. Your silence for a scroll that cost you the one thing the silence could have given you, the chance to actually hear yourself. Capitalism calls that feeling unmet desire, and it has 10,000 products ready to meet it. Marx calls that feeling alienation made conscious. The moment a person correctly identifies that something real was taken. Camus calls that feeling the awakening. The most important moment available to you, the crack in the surface through which something true is trying to come. And all three of them, capitalism, Marx, Camus, are responding to the exact same thing. The exact same hollow hour. The exact same you sitting quietly with a feeling you cannot name. Capitalism wants you to fill it. Marx wants you to understand it. Camus wants you to stay with it. Now, I know what you are thinking, because I would think it too. Okay, but I have rent. I have obligations. I cannot just stop participating in the system because two philosophers said it was emptying me. And you are completely right. Neither Marx nor Camus ever suggested you could. That is not what this is about. What Camus was pointing at is something much smaller than a revolution, and much harder than a revolution. Because revolutions are dramatic and external and involve other people. What Camus was pointing at is internal, personal, and it starts not with changing the system, but with changing one specific thing you do in one specific moment. He called it revolt, and what he meant was this. The next time the hollow hour comes, the next time the question surfaces before you can stop it, do not immediately fill it, just for once, just for that one moment. Let it be there. Let the discomfort be there. Let the question finish forming before you reach for something to put on top of it. Because Camus said the people who fill it every time, who bury the question every Sunday and return to the routine every Monday, do not escape it. It becomes the background noise of their entire life. The unnamed restlessness, the flatness after every purchase, the achievement that almost changed how they felt but not quite, the persistent, quiet, growing sense that the life they are living is almost theirs, but not entirely. And Marx would say, a person who finally sees the gap clearly, who stops calling the emptiness their personal failure and starts seeing it as the entirely predictable result of a system that profits from them never being full. That person has already done something the system cannot do for them and would prefer they never did. They have seen it, really seen it, without the noise, without the filling, without the next purchase softening the edges. And seeing it clearly, honestly, without flinching is where everything real begins. Not a plan, not a 5-step solution, just this. The next time that hollow hour comes, the next time capitalism is right there with something to fill it, and the question is right there underneath trying to surface, you now know what is actually happening in that moment. You know what the filling is doing and why. You know what the question is trying to tell you and where it comes from. And knowing that, not as an idea but as something you have felt and recognized in your own life, changes what that moment is. It stops being a problem to solve. It stops being a feeling to fix. It becomes what Camus always said it was. An invitation. The most honest invitation your own life will ever send you. You are not empty because something is wrong with you. You are empty because something around you needs you empty to keep running. It is the only way out. Tell me in the comments. When does it surface for you? What does your version of that hollow hour look like? What do you reach for when the silence gets too honest? Because that is the conversation this channel is here to have. And I will see you in the next one.